I just noticed that. He didn't notice my shirt. It's
Love
a fruit
it.
shirt. Well, I guess what he didn't say is that when I graduated from high school, I graduated magna cum laude. So that was 50 years ago. I lost weight and have kept it off, which is pretty amazing. And what I learned along the way was just really how to be healthy. So is anybody here wanting to be a little healthier maybe than you are, like right now? All right, let me hear that. I can't see you, the lights are really bright. All right, so how do you do that? One of the first things we gotta do, I'm gonna tell you a couple of things you need to get. One of the first things we gotta do is get the move on. Do you know what I mean? Move the mass through space. That's how we define physical activity at my job. Moving your mass through space. The only place you cannot move your mass through is the New York City subway at rush hour. So I was never really an active person when I was younger. I played dolls, I did artwork, I did all those kinds of things, but the thought of being physically active was repulsive to me. Can anybody relate to this? Here's how I played volleyball. Okay, so that was about it. Well, when I was 30 years old, which was 37 years ago, I went to work for one of the very first health promotion groups in the country, Sun Valley Health Institute. And the man who started that was 77 that year. His name was Jasper Hem, and his nickname was Jack. So Jap said to me one day, "Candy, you want to go out and I'll show you how to cross-country ski." Now, this man is 77, and I got to tell you, 37 years ago, most 77 men were not above ground. Do you know what I mean? And they didn't have this kind of vitality that he had. So this man took me out to cross-country ski. He downhill skied, he hiked, and he swam a mile every day in the summer. And I was like so impressed by him because I wasn't impressed by celebrity physical activity people. I wasn't impressed by the people that got paid to do their activity, but this was just an average man leading a tremendous life. And I said, "Well, Jap, how do you do that?" And he said, "Just do something every day." I didn't have to worry about my target heart rate. I didn't have to worry about before, when, where. Just do something every day. And so what I learned from him was that 5 to 7 days a week, in the last 37 years, I have gone out to do something just about every day. It hasn't been every day because I had to give up the perfectionism thing. Who knows what I mean when we talk about that? All right, the other thing I want to tell you, another thing to get is to get off your own back, but before I talk about that, get a good mentor. I seem to have adopted these older men in my life as mentors because my dad died as a fireman when I was 8. And so I tend to gravitate towards older men with messages. So right now, the older man in my life who I love and adore is Daryl. And Daryl is going to be 90 in October. We swim a mile together 3 times a week. Now, before we swim together 3 times a week, when I arrive at the gym, he's already on his bike. Then we go walking together for about a half an hour. Then we go swimming. Then sometimes he goes to Pilates afterwards. And so Daryl totally is impressing me because not only is he a vital, active man who's ageless, which is what I aspire to, agelessness, not only is he active, but he's an incredible artist, something I also aspire to be a good artist. He's amazing. And I said to him, "Daryl, what are your priorities?" And he said, "Your health always comes first. First your health, then your love, and then everything else." So first our health. Dr. Prochaska, who wrote the book, Changing for Good, said if you're just too busy to exercise, you're too busy. 5 hours a week is all we need. 45 minutes a day, 4 10.5-minute sessions every day to reduce our risk for all causes of disease, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity, all that stuff we can hit just with 5 hours of exercise a week. Is anybody here doing that much? Is anybody here lying around and waiting for the urge to go away? Because one of the things that I found is a question that doesn't get me outside is, do I want to go exercise today? That's not necessarily the motivating question. And it really isn't the motivating question when we have that occasional frost in San Diego, and I'm thinking about swimming in an outdoor pool, and I'm standing there with my flip-flops, a bathing suit, and a polar fleece on, taking the ice off my car, going, do I want to exercise today? But the question that will get you going is, will I feel better when I'm done? Who's noticed that? Will I feel better when I'm done? Thank you. So if you're having a hard time getting started, just ask yourself, will I feel better when I'm done? How do I start? Out the door, 5 minutes, and back. Out the door, 5 minutes, and back every day. Get your move on, and then gradually build up to about 45 minutes a day. For anybody with a weight problem like myself, I actually now, at 67, weigh less than when I graduated from 8th grade. But for anybody with a weight problem, we have to think about 45 to 90 minutes a day of physical activity. It's part. But the other part about physical activity that you probably have all heard about is this the thing that's going to keep our brains healthy. More than anything, physical activity will keep your brain young and moving and growing and have an ability to change. So there's Daryl at almost 90, and there's my mother-in-law at 85. She smoked. She was like the antithesis of my life. Well, here I am in health promotion. Mary was a specialist in health demotion. It's amazing. I mean, she smoked, ate pizza, sat in front of the TV, never did any exercise. And David and I used to laugh, like, how is she still alive? Because of all the smoking, we thought, well, maybe it was the tar that was holding her together. But several years ago, we're noticing that Mary is getting harder and harder for her to get out of a chair. But the thing was, she had a chair that helped her get out of a chair. You know, one of those chairs that goes, bloop. But at our house, we didn't have a chair like that. And I said to Dave, there's going to be a time when your mother won't be able to get up. And that time came about 3 years ago when she fell. And she's never been out of a nursing home since then. And it's amazing to me, it's not the smoking that it did her in, it's not all the chocolate and ice cream that did her in, it's not the sitting around and looking at, it's the sitting around that did her in, it's the lack of muscles. That's the reason why she's in a nursing home today. So I look at Mary or Daryl, who do I want to be like? I choose Daryl. Who's going to choose Daryl with me? Be active, strong, and a vibrant person. So how do you keep your weight off for 50 years? It's sort of an interesting thing. How many of us have kept off for about 5 minutes? You know what I mean? So we have to also get off our own backs. How many times we beat ourselves, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that. Oh my God, who's ever done that? Oh, I feel so bad. Well, I blew it today, I might as well give up the whole thing. You know what I mean? I'll wait till tomorrow. I'll wait till Monday. I'll wait till January 1st. Now, if you say that on January 2nd, that's not a good thing. So here's the deal. Get off your own backs. How many of you find that you just beat yourself up because you just can't resist those chips and cookies that are sitting in the closet? You know what I mean? I just want to hear, how many of you have ever done a number on yourself because you ate too many chips, too many cookies, too many of those things? Just a round of applause or something. You know exactly what I mean. Well, one thing I got to tell you is get them out of the house. It is not you. It is the food manufacturers who are making you an addict. And I'm not kidding. All of us have things we can't resist, the trifecta of goodiness, sugar, salt, and fat. Mine is ice cream, good ice cream. Haagen-Dazs ice cream, Starbucks coffee, they're really good stuff. I got divorced because my ex-husband wanted to keep ice cream in the house, and I couldn't live with it that way. I'm only teasing. But there have been times when I used ice cream as an antidepressant. I remember the time standing there at my counter at 2 o'clock in the morning when I came back from a party when I was about 29, didn't meet him. And I was so upset I didn't meet the love of my life at the party. I flipped open the half a gallon of ice cream and started eating it. And when I realized I was halfway through, I thought, that's totally disgusting. I'm putting it away. I'll never eat ice cream again. About 2 hours later, I heard her calling me, Candy, I'm in the freezer. Come get me. You know what I mean? I flipped open the lid, I got my shovel out, and I started it again. And then I looked. oh my God, there's 1 spoon left. I will not eat a half a gallon of ice cream tonight. And that's the beginning. That's the beginning of getting out of it. That's the beginning of being aware. Because now I'm conscious. Before I was just in my, that whatever that is we get into. But now I was out of choice. So I decided I don't do well with ice cream in the house, but I'm going to eat ice cream occasionally. So I ate ice cream in La Jolla at Swenson's ice cream store. And I would ride my bike up from Pacific Beach, have my scoop, and go home. Well, one day I'm driving up there. Candy, you're going to ice cream. You're going to La Jolla, that means ice cream. Well, why don't you see what it's like not to have ice cream today? Well, it's only a scoop anyway, it really isn't a problem. Well, why don't you, you've had this. So I get there and I pull into La Jolla, and where is the only parking spot? Right in front of Swenson's. God wants you to eat ice cream. He provided the spot right here. Well, why don't you see what's happening? God, don't. I'm at the door, ready to go in. And I decided, okay, just today, I will not have ice cream. And I backed away from the door, and then I heard the cherubim sing the Hallelujah chorus. And I thought, I want this feeling again. So 2 things I learned. I am at choice now. Ice cream isn't choosing me, I'm choosing it when I want to have it. And the other thing is, there's certain foods none of us can live with in the house. And we have to understand this. 200 years ago, it wasn't a problem. Because everything you can't resist is not strawberries, blackberries, Brussels sprouts, or broccoli. It's sugar, salty, fatty combo. Who would agree? It's a manufactured food. Manufactured foods are made to be addictive. Has anybody read the book Fat, Sugar, Salt, or Sugar, Salt, Fat, whatever? Anyway, once you read this and you realize what you're up against a food industry that actually takes brain scans of people to see when they get the taste at the spot where it starts lighting off your addictive pathways. That's the place that they know, aha, we've got it now. Because they're interested in making you addicted to their food. So why are we making ourselves wrong because we have a hard time saying no to the next chip? They're making it so you can't have just one. They're making it so you keep going back. So how do we deal with that? We get it out of the house. And hey, I'm not perfect at this. I will have some out there in unit doses. But you cannot live with that thing in your house. Who understands what I mean? So here it is. You do, you don't, you do, you don't, you do, you don't, you do. You want it? No, can't have it. No, what? You drive yourself crazy, and then the only thing that gets rid of decision anxiety is making the decision. You eat it. Then you go through the guilt, right? The guilt. So get rid of all of that. So just be kind to yourself, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for all your little transgressions. I swear that this is one of the biggest things for anybody with the weight history. We just got to keep moving forward. And the very next minute, we can make a better decision. It may not be the very best decision, but it's a better decision, and that's the one we need to make. So we need to get our move on, we need to get off our backs, and we need to be beautiful and make beautiful from the inside out. Well, how do we do this? We need to start eating more colors, fruits and vegetables. Okay. Now, when I talk about colors, I don't mean Hostess snowballs. But I always like to bring them with me because they're fun, spongy. So, if you read the ingredients here, we're talking about sugar, white flour, and fat, right? Now, if I take sugar, white flour, and fat, I can make something really interesting that was going to be totally alluring to you, but I'm putting calories in a small space. This has about 400 calories. I could try that in for a banana, an orange, an apple, a small ear of corn, some watermelon, maybe some broccoli too. So I can have all of this instead of this. Now, this junk food is really not good for us. Sugar, salt, and fat. But this is sugar, white flour, and fat. But they are good for something. What are they good for? You want to be Dolly Parton. At Halloween, you just stick them right in there. why people like this. It's so stupid. But since the first time I've done it, they used to be 55 cents. Now they're $1.79. I've been doing this for a really long time. There's a gentleman right here. I think he wants them. He was very... Sure. Okay. So why do we need all those colors? Anybody heard the word phytochemicals? What it is, it's your antioxidants. And they come in the colors of all your fruits and vegetables. There's also antioxidants in coffee and chocolate, a little bit in wine, just to let you know. So what do? How are we going to be beautiful and healthy from the inside out? Inside of us, although we may be eating because it's pleasurable, what we're really doing is supplying every single cell with everything it needs to keep duplicating, growing, staying young and healthy and vibrant. We need the water, we need the exercise, but we need all these phytochemicals. Well, what do? So down there's your little cell down there, and it can be destroyed by oxidation. Well, what is that? Just the very fact of breathing is oxygen. I could destroy my cells if I don't have antioxidants on board. Dr. Bruce Ames, who talks about the antioxidants, the most quoted researcher in the world, says that every day there are 100,000 oxidative hits in your body. So you need to have antioxidants. Fortunately, they come in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, chocolate, and coffee, and tea. All right, so what do? So here's your cell down there, and these oxidizing substances, air pollution, cigarette smoke, they're trying to destroy your cell. Now, if you have fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans in your diet, you can fight them back, because here's what they do. They have different functions. Number one, they act like bouncers to keep the bad guys out of your cell, to protect your cell from being destroyed. Has anybody ever watched Star Trek or been subjected to watching it? Do you remember the shield? Like the Starship Enterprise is out there in space, and the enemy is coming in, and the captain says, "Put up the shield." And that prevents that starship from being destroyed. That's what your phytochemicals are doing for you. The bouncers are keeping the bad guys out. Okay, well, suppose a bad guy gets into your cell. Well, then you got the hurt locker of the biochemical world. You have the repair team can go in there and, not the repair team, but the bomb squad, they can dismantle and neutralize those bad guys and render them harmless inside your cell. So not only do you have a bouncer, you get a bomb squad, and then you also get the repair team. If there's damage done, all these phytochemicals can go in there and they'll make it good again. So who wants cells like that? Now, when we have cells like that, we age better. We're less likely to succumb to heart disease, inflammation, cancer. We got our pals on board. And how do you get them? You get them by eating colors. Like the red in the watermelon does something different for you than the corn in here. And what people don't realize is that they say, well, I got my antioxidants from a vitamin pill, but you can't. There's one or two in a vitamin tab, but this orange contains hundreds of antioxidants. Not this one, because this one's plastic. But a real one would do that for you, okay? So you really want to get them on board. And of course, the other thing about fiber foods, these are all your fiber foods, and we know what fiber does for you, right? It actually helps build your solid waste disposal system and keeps it moving right along. All right, so 3 things we got to get. We got to get the move on. Who says I could do that? I could do a little bit every day. I could do that a little bit every day. I want to feel better when I'm done. Who wants to feel better when you're done? Okay. Who's willing to get off your back when you commit the heinous dietary indiscretion of doing my equivalent of eating almost a half a gallon of ice cream? Get off your back and get it off, you know? Because it's a reaction to things that is more poor. People say, I've been bad this week. This is what my patients say. Bad? You've been bad? Robbed a bank? Stole a car? Killed a person? Really, I do this all the time. You're not bad. Did you have a little high-calorie food and maybe didn't do your exercise? That's a whole different story. Let's get off judging ourselves and just start loving ourselves so we can move forward. There's so many messages that were here before me that were really moving. I feel very humbled and honored to be able to be among the speakers that have been here today. But everybody has the same message. Don't give up. Be good to yourself. Befriend yourself. And I'm going to tell you to keep moving, because that's the thing that's going to help us have healthy brains, healthy hearts, and be good for all the people around us, because every single person who relies on you needs you the healthiest you can be. And you need the healthiest you can be. Thank you.